The first breath of winter sweeps across the Russian wilderness, not as a gentle whisper, but as a force of nature. A white tide surges from the Arctic Circle, spilling over mountains, sinking into valleys, and devouring the land in a matter of hours. One moment, the forests of the north sway beneath the final golden leaves of autumn. Next, the sky darkens. The wind sharpens its teeth, and a storm older than civilization awakens with a roar. A blizzard charges over the tundra like a living wall of ice. Snowflakes whip sideways in furious spirals, each carrying the chill of entire continents. They coat every exposed branch, bury every open meadow, smother every sound. The world becomes a battlefield caught between silence and the howl of winter. Across the endless Siberian taiga, towering conifers bend under the weight of accumulating frost. Their trunks creak like ancient gates as the storm grips them tightly, sealing the forest beneath layers of frozen armor. The ground disappears beneath a rising white ocean, one that will deepen, harden, and hold this land captive for half the year. And within this sudden freeze, the first living silhouettes emerge. A lone elk bull trudges through knee-deep snow, its breath spilling from its nostrils in heavy white plumes. Each exhale hangs in the air before vanishing, devoured by the cold. Frost crystallizes along its fur, turning its majestic antlers into a crown of ice. The animal lowers its head and pushes forward, every movement slow, deliberate, aware that the season of abundance has ended, and survival begins now. Farther east, a shadow slips between the trees. The storm briefly parts, revealing the amber eyes of a Siberian tiger watching the forest change around him. Snow gathers on his whiskers. His ears twitch at the distant crack of a falling branch. Winter means hunger, longer hunts, greater risks. Yet he stands his ground, muscles coiled beneath his thickening coat, as if challenging the storm itself. Above the leafless canopy, a golden eagle, a ruler of the skies, battles the blinding winds. Its wings strain against the currents, each feather shuddering from the cold. For a moment the bird falters, forced downward by a violent gust. But it regains its balance, slicing through the storm with a triumphant cry. Its domain is changing, but its rule is not yet threatened. On the open tundra, a small white shape darts beneath the storm. An Arctic fox, already blending into the frozen world, digs frantically into the snow, searching for the faint scent of prey. Beneath feet of ice, mice and voles scatter through their secret underground tunnels, racing to stay ahead of the cold creeping downward, inch by inch. Across thousands of kilometers, forest, mountain, steppe, and tundra, every creature feels the same message. Winter has arrived, and it demands a price. The ancient battle between life and the cold has begun. Welcome to the struggle of wildlife to survive the Russian winter. Winter in Russia does not simply reshape the land, it rewrites the rules of survival. With every degree the temperature falls, the delicate balance between predator and prey tightens. shifting into a relentless contest where strength alone is not enough. Here, strategy becomes as vital as instinct, and every species must adapt or surrender to the cold. In the heart of the taiga, where the forests stretch farther than the horizon, wolves gather beneath the pale glow of the winter moon. Summer scatters them into smaller family groups. Winter forces them together. One after another, silhouettes merge from the darkness until a full pack stands assembled, a dozen powerful bodies moving as one. Their breath fogs the night air, rising like ghostly smoke as they begin their patrol. Food is scarce now. Elk herds move less, conserving precious energy. Wild boar burrow deep into thickets, hidden beneath snow, almost impossible to reach. But the wolves adapt. They form tighter formations, communicate with precise, practiced gestures, and track weakened prey with unmatched stamina. In winter, their unity becomes their greatest weapon. Not far away, another predator sharpens its craft alone. The Eurasian lynx moves like a whisper, its massive paws spreading weight evenly across the snow, allowing it to glide over surfaces that would trap heavier hunters. It makes no sound, no imprint of urgency, only calm, patient calculation. Winter strips away the camouflage of many animals, but the lynx, cloaked in its thick, spotted coat, becomes a phantom among the frozen trees. Its amber eyes lock onto a snowshoe hare, and the tension of the season becomes visible in their shared moment. One must eat, the other must flee. Down in the lowlands, foxes rely not on strength, but on senses refined by generations of survival. A red fox pauses on an open field, ears turning like radar dishes. Beneath the snow, life stirs. Faint heartbeats, tiny movements, an unseen world. The fox lifts its head, then leaps in a graceful arc, plunging face first into the snow to capture a vole it detected without ever seeing. In winter, the forest rewards the patient listener. Above them all, raptors rule the skies. The great gray owl drifts silently between trees, wings barely moving, its dish-shaped face capturing even the faintest rustle beneath the snowpack. Each successful dive marks another day won in the struggle against starvation. Even the golden eagle, lord of the mountains, adjusts its behavior, swooping lower, taking risks, and targeting prey it would ignore in warmer months. But predators are not the only ones facing hardship. Elk dig through frozen crust with tired hooves. Reindeer scrape the ground for lichen, a humble plant that becomes their lifeline. Musk deer search for shoots hidden beneath ice, their delicate frame trembling against the wind. Winter forces herbivores into small groups, exposes them, slows them, and paints a target on their backs. Here, in these frozen kingdoms, every encounter is a negotiation between hunger and hope, a biological arms race sharpened by millennia, reignited each time the first snow falls. The struggle intensifies, the stakes rise, and the true challenge of Russian winter is only beginning. In the frozen heart of the Siberian taiga, where ancient pines rise like silent guardians and snow blankets the world in unbroken white, a shadow begins to move. It glides between the trees with impossible grace, leaving only faint depressions in the powdery surface. This shadow belongs to one of Earth's most elusive predators, the Siberian tiger, the largest big cat alive, and the undisputed monarch of these winter forests. Winter transforms the tiger from a powerful hunter into a master of endurance. Prey grows scarce, visibility shrinks, and the cold becomes an enemy as formidable as any rival predator. Yet the tiger's body carries the blueprint of millennia of adaptation. Beneath its thick winter coat, layered with dense fur, hollow insulating hairs, and a heavy ruff around the neck, lies a reservoir of stamina built for the extremes of Siberia. Every step is calculated, every movement designed to conserve precious heat. The tiger lifts its paw and sets it softly into the snow. The forest absorbs the sound. Even the wind seems unwilling to betray its presence. Yet deep snow slows the tiger's approach, forcing it to adjust its hunting strategy. Instead of exhausting pursuit, it relies on stealth, patience, and the element of surprise. Like a ghost, it drifts closer to its prey, often positioning itself downwind, using terrain, fallen logs, and the quiet of the winter night as its allies. Tonight, the tiger's golden eyes lock onto a small herd of red deer gathered beneath frost-covered branches. Their ears twitch nervously. Every creature feels the pressure of winter. The tiger lowers itself, muscles coiling beneath its striped coat, and waits. Minutes stretch into an hour. Snowflakes begin to accumulate on its head and back, forming a natural camouflage. Only when one deer drifts too far from the group does the tiger unleash its silent charge, each bound powerful enough to send snow erupting in shimmering arcs behind it. But winter rarely offers easy victories. The deer is swift, its hooves slicing through the crusted snow with practiced force. The chase cuts through the forest, echoing with the rhythmic thud of pursuit and the sharp snaps of twigs beneath fleeing hooves. The tiger, heavy yet efficient, pushes forward with controlled bursts of power. Sometimes the hunt ends in a swift takedown. Other times the forest grants the prey a narrow escape, leaving the tiger panting softly in the darkness, conserving its energy for the next attempt. Territory becomes even more crucial in winter. A male Siberian tiger may roam an area spanning hundreds of square kilometers, marking trees with claw marks and scent to warn rivals away from scarce resources. Nighttime is when these boundaries come alive. The forest fills with distant calls, deep, resonant chuffs and roars, drifting across icy expanses, subtle reminders that each tiger must defend not only food, but identity. Across the snowbound Siberian wilderness, where daylight fades early and the cold etches frost onto every living surface, a distant howl rolls through the stillness. It rises, falls, and echoes through the trees, a single voice calling out to its kin. Moments later, another answer, then another. Soon, the forest trembles with a chorus of sound that pushes back against the silence of winter. The wolves are gathering. Winter is the season when the gray wolf becomes most formidable. Scarcity unites them, drawing scattered family groups into larger, more strategic packs. A dozen wolves step through the trees, their coats thick and full, tails held low in disciplined calm. Frost gathers around their muzzles as cold breath plumes into the air like smoke rising from a battle line. Individually, they are skilled hunters. Together, they are a force shaped by centuries of instinct and unspoken cooperation. Tonight, the pack is hungry. They move in formation through knee-deep snow, paws spreading wide to stay atop the icy surface. The alpha pair leads, noses lifted, scanning the wind for the scent of prey. When a faint trace of elk drifts through the forest, the pack halts, ears prick, bodies stiffen. A silent decision passes among them. They will follow. The snow changes everything. While thick drifts slow heavier prey, they also sap predators of energy. The wolves compensate through endurance, a relentless, almost mechanical persistence. They trot effortlessly across terrain that would exhaust other animals, conserving strength until the moment action is required. At the edge of a clearing, the elk herd comes into view. Massive forms shift beneath the moonlight, snow dusting their backs. The wolves fan out, creating a half circle around the unsuspecting animals. They do not rush. They watch. They identify weakness, an older cow, limping slightly, falling behind the others. Then the chase begins. The elk bolt forward, churning up snow in frantic sprays. The wolves surge after them. The forest becomes a blur of motion, flashes of gray weaving between trees, pounding footfalls, sharp snorts of exertion. The pack doesn't need to be faster, it needs to be enduring. They pressure the elk, taking turns at the front, forcing the herd through deep snow where escape becomes harder with every step. As the weak elk falters, two wolves angle in from opposite sides, guiding it away from the main herd. A third lunges, using the force of its body to topple the prey into the soft snow. The takedown is swift, efficient, and born of cooperation that no single predator could achieve alone. When the hunt ends, the hierarchy becomes visible again. The alpha pair eats first, then the others in order. There is no chaos, only structure, only family. Deep within the Siberian taiga, where the forest grows denser and the silence feels almost sacred, a presence moves with such precision that the snow itself barely notices. A soft imprint here, a faint disturbance there. Nothing more than subtle traces of what has passed. This is the Eurasian lynx, the phantom of the pines, a hunter defined not by speed or power, but by silence. Its winter coat is a masterpiece of insulation. Dense, spotted fur that traps warmth and blends seamlessly into the mottled patterns of trunk and shadow. Thick, tufted paws spread like natural snowshoes, allowing the lynx to glide across the powdery drifts without sinking where heavier predators would struggle. Each step is placed with the delicacy of a dancer and the intent of a predator that hunts not by pursuit, but by patience. The lynx patrols alone. Unlike wolves, it forms no pack. Unlike tigers, it claims smaller territories, but guards them with steadfast resolve. Its domain consists of tangled underbrush, old fallen logs, and quiet glades frequented by hares and grouse. Prey it knows intimately. Winter may bury the ground beneath layers of snow, but the lynx reads the forest's signals. The faint rustle beneath a spruce tree, the flicker of movement among branches, the delicate track of a snowshoe hare imprinted hours earlier. Tonight the sky is heavy with clouds, and a fresh flurry has muffled the landscape. The lynx crouches beneath an evergreen, ears erect, black tufts catching the faint moonlight. Every sense sharpens. Its eyes, capable of detecting the slightest twitch in low light, scan the clearing where a grouse is foraging cautiously beneath a snow-laden bush. Then, without a sound, the lynx begins its approach, a slow, fluid sequence of movements that erase the distance between shadow and prey. Its body lowers. Muscles coil. The air vibrates with the tension of impending action. In a single explosive moment, the lynx springs forward. Snow erupts beneath its paws as it covers several meters in one powerful leap. The grouse lifts in a flurry of wings, but the lynx is faster. Its outstretched paw hooks the bird mid-flight, pulling it back to the ground with practiced efficiency. The hunt ends almost as quickly as it began, clean, precise, and silent. Such ambushes are the lynx's signature, but winter challenges even masters of stealth. Deep snow conceals prey trails. Bitter cold forces longer patrols. Competition intensifies, especially with foxes and raptors searching for the same limited food. Yet, the lynx persists, roaming its territory night after night, marking the edges with scent, reinforcing quiet dominion over its frozen kingdom. Later, as dawn spills pale light across the taiga, the lynx moves again, a ghost slipping between trees, invisible until it chooses to be seen. Across the northern forests and mountains, winter belongs to the sleepers, the brown bears who vanish into the frozen earth just as the world turns white. Their disappearance is not death, nor true sleep, but a remarkable biological suspension that allows them to endure months of cold, ice, and hunger. Hibernation in brown bears is one of nature's most intricate winter adaptations, shaped by survival pressures and timed with the changing conditions of the year. As autumn fades, brown bears undergo a frenzied period called hyperphagia, when their entire day revolves around consuming as many calories as possible. They may gain 30 to 40% of their body weight during this time, packing on fat that serves as both insulation and stored energy. Once the temperature drops and snow begins to fall, the bear prepares its winter refuge, a den. Den sites vary according to region and terrain. Some bears excavate chambers into hillsides, their powerful claws tearing through earth and roots to carve out a cozy nest. Others claim natural shelters such as hollow logs, caves, dense underbrush, or even the spaces beneath tree roots. The den must be secure, dry, and stable enough to withstand months of storms and shifting snowpack. Inside the dark safety of this chamber, the bear's body undergoes astonishing metabolic changes. For 5 to 7 months, the bear neither eats, drinks, urinates, nor defecates. Its heart rate slows from around 50 beats per minute to as low as 8. Body temperature drops slightly but remains high enough to allow quick awakening if danger arises. The bear lives off its fat reserves, breaking them down in a controlled manner that avoids muscle loss, something that would be catastrophic in the spring, when strength is needed most. This is why scientists admire brown bear hibernation as a potential model for future medical breakthroughs. Perhaps the most extraordinary winter event occurs in the dens of pregnant females. Unlike males and non-pregnant females, gravid mother bears enter hibernation carrying new life. During the deepest winter months, usually January, the cubs are born blind, hairless, and weighing barely 300-400 grams, smaller than a human infant, and entirely dependent on their mother. Despite her fasting state, the mother produces rich milk that allows the cubs to grow rapidly in the warmth of the den. Curled against her belly, they are shielded from the frozen world outside, listening to her slow heartbeat as their first rhythm of life. Though hibernation is protective, it is not without danger. Early wake-ups caused by disturbance, unseasonal temperature spikes, or food scarcity can be deadly. A prematurely awakened bear may not have enough remaining fat to survive the rest of winter. Disturbance by humans, logging machinery, snowmobiles, or hiking near dens can force a bear from its chamber long before spring's arrival, putting both the bear and, in the case of mothers, their tiny cubs at risk. Climate change adds another threat, with unpredictable winters potentially shortening the hibernation period and limiting autumn food availability. When spring finally returns, the bears emerge gaunt but alive, blinking at the sunlight after months of darkness. Mothers step out with their now sturdy cubs, ready to teach them the ways of the forest. In the frozen forest, where the trees stand rimed with ice, and the wind sweeps snow into shifting drifts, two of the largest herbivores in the northern hemisphere move with the slow, deliberate strength of survival. Elk and moose, cousins in the deer family, face winter not with speed or stealth but with size, endurance, and remarkable behavioral intelligence. They are giants built for hardship, using instinct and experience to navigate a world that turns unforgiving for herbivores. For both species, winter foraging is the greatest challenge. The lush grasses, herbs, and shrubs of summer vanish beneath thick blankets of snow, forcing them to change diets. Elk, which prefer open meadows and grasslands, are often pushed into conifer forests where food is limited. They dig through snow with their hooves, scraping down to any remaining grasses or sedges. When conditions worsen, they shift to bark, twigs, and dried forbs, low-quality foods that require more time and energy to consume. Moose, by contrast, are browsers, specializing in woody vegetation. Winter offers them willow, birch, and aspen twigs, as well as the precious buds of shrubs, which are higher in nutrients than bare branches. Their long legs and flexible upper lip help them reach high twigs and strip entire shoots efficiently, conserving energy during the hardest months. Predators, wolves, bears, and big cats in some regions remain a constant threat. Elk form large winter herds, where many eyes and ears increase the chance of detecting danger. Moose, solitary by nature, rely on size and aggression. A cornered adult moose can injure or even kill wolves with a well-placed kick. Yet winter tilts the balance. A deep snowpack slows the heavy ungulates far more than their predators. Wolves, with their narrow chests and splayed paws, run lightly across crusted snow, while elk and moose sink deeply, tiring quickly. A winter chase often becomes a battle of endurance, and predators known to target individuals weakened by age, injury, or poor nutrition. The depth and texture of the snow determine everything: movement, safety, energy levels, and feeding access. Elk prefer windswept ridges and south-facing slopes where the snow is shallower. Moose venture into dense forests that shield them from drifts. Their long legs give them an advantage, but even they struggle when the snow reaches chest height. Each step becomes a heave, expending precious calories. To conserve energy, they often create walkways, trampled paths they reuse daily to reach feeding sites or sheltered bedding areas. Winter also heightens their mineral needs, especially sodium. Plants are less nutritious in the cold season, and the lack of green growth limits essential micronutrients. Both elk and moose seek natural mineral licks, pockets of salty soil or groundwater seepage, often traveling surprising distances to reach them. In some regions, they resort to chewing on old bones or antlers for calcium and phosphorus, a behavior known as osteophagy. Elk remember historical wintering grounds where food is most accessible. Moose demonstrate fine-tuned decision-making, choosing bedding sites that minimize wind exposure, using rivers or frozen wetlands as easier travel corridors, and shifting elevation with changing snow conditions. Across the immense white expanses of the Russian north, where winter can swallow the land for 8 months and storms sweep across the tundra without warning, one animal moves with an ancient certainty: the reindeer, a creature whose entire existence is shaped by migration. They are the long-distance travelers of the Arctic, following routes older than recorded history, tracing invisible paths carved generation after generation across thousands of kilometers. In the Russian winter, they are not merely surviving, they are navigating. Reindeer migration is one of nature's most dramatic life cycles. As winter grips the land, herds begin their southward movement, leaving the wind-scoured tundra in search of sheltered feeding grounds. Later, as the cold deepens, some populations move again, adjusting constantly to find the right mix of food availability, wind protection, and snow conditions. These journeys can span hundreds of kilometers, and in some regions, well over 1,000. Every member of the herd, cows, bulls, yearlings, travels together in a unified, pulsing mass. Their movements are synchronized and fluid, a result of both instinct and collective memory. Old matriarchs often guide the herd, having lived through many winters and learned where food lies beneath the snow. Their survival revolves around a seemingly fragile resource: lichen. Beneath the crust of snow and ice, reindeer uncover this slow-growing organism, rich in carbohydrates and perfectly suited to their winter diet. With extraordinary precision, they use their hooves to scrape through hard snow layers, an act called cratering. Their hooves are marvels of adaptation. Wide and crescent-shaped, they spread out like natural snowshoes, supporting their weight on soft ground and giving traction on ice. In summer, the edges are softer to grip the tundra's wet, spongy soil. In winter, they harden into sharp, chisel-like tools capable of cutting through ice-encrusted snow. The face of a reindeer is another anatomical triumph. Their noses contain a complex network of turbinate bones that warm freezing air before it reaches the lungs, conserving heat in extreme cold. These structures also help them detect the faint scent of lichen beneath the snowpack. Their eyes adapt seasonally, shifting to a deep blue in winter to increase sensitivity to low light, an essential trait in the Arctic darkness. Reindeer possess an uncanny sense of direction, guided by a blend of memory, smell, magnetic sensitivity, and herd cohesion. When winds rise and visibility collapses, the herd tightens, individuals pressing close to conserve warmth and follow the lead animals. They orient themselves to the prevailing wind and continue forward, inch by inch, navigating by smell and instinct, even when humans would lose all sense of orientation. In the vast, treeless reaches of Russia's Arctic tundra, where the wind whips unhindered across open plains and temperatures plunge far below freezing, a small, ghost-like figure navigates the winter with unmatched cunning. The Arctic fox, compact, resourceful, and endlessly opportunistic, is one of the North's most remarkable survivors. In a world where food is scarce and death prowls in every direction, this little predator thrives through a mixture of instinct, strategy, and sheer adaptability. Winter transforms the fox into a creature of near-perfect camouflage. Its coat, once brown and charcoal-speckled in summer, becomes brilliant white, mirroring the snowdrifts across the tundra. This isn't just a cosmetic shift, it's a survival imperative. The fox blends seamlessly into the Arctic landscape, allowing it to stalk its prey unseen. But this thick fur serves another purpose. It is one of the warmest insulating coats in the animal kingdom, trapping heat so efficiently that the fox can withstand temperatures where metal snaps from cold. Hunting in winter is a test of patience and precision. Beneath the snow lies a hidden world, where lemmings, voles, and other small mammals tunnel through insulated chambers. The Arctic fox listens, still, silent, ears rotating to triangulate the faint scurrying beneath the surface. And then comes the moment. The fox leaps upward in a perfect arc and plunges nose first into the snow, breaking through the crust with a practiced motion. This iconic behavior known as mousing, is a masterpiece of instinctive hunting. A successful strike can mean the difference between conservation of energy and starvation. Yet even the best hunters cannot rely solely on their own skill in the Arctic winter. The land is too unforgiving. This is why the Arctic fox developed one of its most brilliant strategies: the art of following giants. When a polar bear makes a kill, usually a seal dragged from the ice, the fox is never far behind. It trails the bear at a respectful distance, waiting for scraps. A single bear kill can feed a fox for days, even weeks, especially when the carcass freezes and preserves itself naturally in the open air. The fox's nose can detect such leftovers from kilometers away, guiding it to life-sustaining meals left behind by larger predators. But scavenging is not limited to bears. The fox is a relentless forager. It patrols the tundra for bird carcasses, fish abandoned by storms, or remains unearthed by shifting ice. It even caches food, burying leftovers in snowbanks or shallow pits, creating a network of secret stores it can return to during famine. Its memory for these hiding spots is remarkable, and each cache is a small insurance policy against the harsh unpredictability of the Arctic. Across Russia's forest belt, those sweeping regions of birch, pine, and mixed woodland that stretch for thousands of kilometers, moves an animal whose intelligence and adaptability have made it one of the world's most successful predators: the red fox. Sleek, flame-furred, and always alert, the fox lives in constant motion, navigating a winter landscape where opportunities are fleeting and danger waits in shadowed thickets. But unlike many creatures of the Russian winter, the red fox does not merely endure the season, it thrives in it. Its survival begins with its most iconic hunting behavior. As snow thickens across the forest floor, insulating the small rodents that scurry beneath it, the fox lifts its head and listens. Everything becomes still: the wind, the trees, even the fox's own breathing. Its ears, sharp and swiveling, pick up the faintest vibrations: the tremor of a mouse paw, the rustle of fur against a hidden tunnel wall. In the next instant, the fox springs into action with a movement that is almost theatrical. It arches into the air in a perfect parabola, the classic mousing leap. With front paws extended and nose aimed downward, it breaks through the snow crust and lands directly on its unsuspecting prey. A single successful strike delivers a warm meal in a land where every calorie counts. But the red fox is more than a specialized hunter. It is a master opportunist. Unlike the Arctic fox of the far north, the red fox shares its territories with wolves, lynx, boar, owls, and humans. This competition shapes its behavior. The fox learns quickly what areas offer food, which routes are safe, and when it must vanish into cover to avoid becoming prey. Winter forces the fox to expand its menu far beyond rodents. It scavenges from old kill sites, follows ravens to carcasses, digs for beetle larvae, fishes along unfrozen river edges, and even raids the stashes of squirrels. In lean months, a fox may uncover buried berries or chew on frozen fruits left behind by autumn's last trees. Its cunning extends beyond the wild. As snow deepens and forest quiet, foxes often move toward villages and remote settlements, slipping through human landscapes with ghost-like subtlety. Here, the fox relies on its intelligence to exploit new sources of food: scraps near barns, rodents drawn to grain stores, or the refuse left outside homes. This connection with people isn't new. Foxes in Russia have lived alongside humans for centuries, adapting their habits to survive fields, livestock guard dogs, and the unpredictable rhythms of rural life. They are neither fully wild nor fully domestic. They exist in a delicate balance between the two. Across Russia's northern tundra, where the horizon stretches unbroken and the land seems carved from ice itself, one creature rules the vast, silent plains with regal stillness: the snowy owl. Draped in immaculate white plumage and crowned with golden, unblinking eyes, it sits like a living sculpture upon a wind-swept hummock. But beneath its calm poise lies a hunter perfectly tuned to the brutal rhythms of the Arctic winter. The snowy owl is a predator shaped by cycles, especially the rise and fall of rodent populations. In good years, when lemmings and voles multiply in abundance, the owl thrives. In poor years, when prey becomes scarce, the owl must roam far and wide, covering vast distances across the frozen steppes in search of food. These cycles dictate everything: migration patterns, breeding success, even the survival of chicks. The owl is not simply living in the Arctic, it is living at the mercy of its smallest inhabitants. Its behavioral adaptations for winter are exceptional. While many birds flee south when cold encroaches, snowy owls remain, anchored by their ability to withstand temperatures that would freeze most creatures in minutes. Their feathers, thick, layered, and extending even down their legs, form one of the most effective natural insulators in the avian world. Beneath that softness, though, lies a muscular, efficient hunter capable of explosive speed. Hunting is a practice of patience and precision. From its vantage point on a snow mound or protruding rock, the owl scans the tundra, listening for the faint scratch of a rodent beneath the snow crust. Its ears, hidden beneath layers of fluff, are asymmetrically placed, allowing pinpoint accuracy when detecting sound. When the moment arrives, the owl launches with silent wings, an evolutionary masterpiece that muffles airflow and makes its descent deadly quiet. Unlike many raptors that rely on sweeping aerial dives, the snowy owl prefers direct, powerful strikes. It often hovers momentarily, adjusting its angle before plunging talons first into the snow. With incredible force, it breaks through to grab its prey. A single lemming fuels the owl for hours. In times of need, an owl may catch dozens in a day. This abundance, however, is tempered by lean years when hunger drives them farther south, even into forests and farmlands in search of warmth and food. Breeding in winter's shadow is a gamble. Snowy owls choose nesting sites on open ground, flat tundra ridges, or gently sloping rises, where visibility is clear in all directions. They scrape a shallow depression into the earth, lining it sparsely with grasses or feathers. Their choice to breed depends entirely on prey availability. In years of rodent abundance, they may lay large clutches, sometimes 10 eggs or more. In scarce years, they may not breed at all, conserving energy for survival instead. In the rugged, snow-draped mountains of eastern Russia, where rocky cliffs rise like frozen waves and the forests cling precariously to steep slopes, lives one of the most secretive creatures of the winter wilderness, the Siberian musk deer. Small, solitary, and almost weightless in its movements, this deer is unlike any other. It belongs to an ancient lineage shaped by millions of years of evolution, and it navigates the harsh Russian winter with a combination of agility, caution, and quiet resilience. The most striking feature of the musk deer is its long, curved canines, which extend down from the upper jaw, like the fangs of some delicate forest vampire. These sharp tusks, found especially in males, are not weapons for predation but tools of dominance, used in territorial disputes and mating competitions. They replace antlers entirely, making the musk deer a rare branch of the deer family, where elegance triumphs over brute force. In winter, when the forests go silent and mating season ends, the canines still glint against the snow, giving the little deer an appearance both fragile and formidable. Survival in the cold begins with terrain. Unlike elk or moose that stride through deep snow, the musk deer takes to the steepest cliffs and sharpest ridges, places where few predators dare follow. Its limbs are slender but shockingly strong, and its hooves are perfectly adapted for grip, sharp-edged, flexible, and able to spread to balance on ice-coated rocks. In a heartbeat, the musk deer can bound up a near vertical slope, vanishing into crags that seem impossible for any hoofed animal to climb. This mastery of rugged terrain is its greatest protection. Snowfall, however, makes life difficult. Thick layers slow movement, bury food, and expose the musk deer to wolves and lynx. To survive, the deer relies on a selective diet and meticulous feeding habits. It browses on lichens, mosses, pine needles, young shoots, and the tender tips of shrubs, vegetation hardy enough to persist through Russia's long winter. Browsing takes time, and the musk deer must feed cautiously, lifting its head often to scan for danger. A single misstep in the open can be fatal. Predator evasion is an art. When danger approaches, the musk deer does not run in open terrain. Instead, it darts into narrow crevices, leaps onto boulders, or follows ancient cliffside trails known only to its kind. Its heart rate spikes, but its movement remains graceful, light, barely leaving prints in the snow. If cornered, it may stand perfectly still, trusting its mottled brown winter coat to blend into the rock and shadows. Only when the threat passes does it resume its quiet journey along the mountainside. Beneath Russia's winter landscape, under the glittering crust of snow, under the frost-hardened surface where predators roam and winds scream, lies a hidden civilization. It is a world few eyes ever witness, yet it is one of the most vital ecosystems in the entire northern hemisphere. This secret realm is the subnivean layer, the space between the ground and the snowpack, where warmth is trapped and life persists in defiance of the Arctic's brutal cold. And within this fragile underworld, the true engineers of winter survival reign: voles, lemmings, and other small rodents. To the world above, they are nearly invisible. Not because they are rare, but because they have mastered the art of living out of sight. As soon as the first heavy snows fall, these tiny creatures begin carving intricate tunnel networks through the soft lower layers of the snow. The surface hardens, forming a protective roof that shields them from owls, foxes, and freezing winds. Within their tunnels, dark, humid, and surprisingly warm compared to the brutal exterior, rodents move with confidence, running from chamber to chamber, feeding, nesting, and evading the harshness above. Voles are among the most active architects of this subnivean maze. Their round bodies and tireless energy allow them to dig effortlessly through the insulation provided by snow. They create extensive passageways that may stretch for meters in every direction, linking food sources to nests woven from dry grasses. Even beneath a meter of snow, voles can find seeds, bark, and stems to sustain them. Their world, although hidden, is never still. Hundreds of tiny paws shape the silent city beneath the winter surface. Lemmings, iconic symbols of the Arctic, thrive especially well in these snow-covered corridors. Their populations fluctuate dramatically in cycles, swelling in abundance during peak years. When numbers rise, the subnivean world becomes a bustling metropolis. Lemmings breed even during winter, a rare trait among small mammals, and their populations can explode beneath the snowpack, fueling a vast network of predators. A single snowy owl family, for example, may rely entirely on lemmings to raise their chicks. In this way, the subnivean rodents act as the foundation of the winter food web, supporting animals many times their size. But life in the subnivean world is not without danger. When sudden thaws occur, tunnels can collapse and refreeze into ice, trapping rodents beneath solid barriers. Foxes and stoats sometimes detect movement from above and plunge through the snow to catch their prey. Still, the rodents' secrecy remains their greatest strength. They rely on quiet movement, hidden roots, and the insulating blanket of snow to stay alive. While many of Russia's birds escape winter by fleeing south, a few remarkable species remain behind, choosing to face the ice-laden storms and frozen landscapes head-on. These are the stalwart survivors of the cold months, birds whose bodies, instincts, and behaviors have been sculpted by evolution to withstand conditions that silence even the hardiest mammals. Among them, three stand out as icons of endurance: the great gray owl, the capercaillie, and the ptarmigan. High in the silent forests of the Siberian taiga, the great gray owl sits perched like a guardian spirit of winter, massive, still, and cloaked in soft gray plumage that blends with frost-coated trunks. Its wingspan stretches nearly a meter, yet it flies with astonishing silence. Winter sharpens its senses. With snow covering the ground and concealing its prey, the owl relies on its extraordinary hearing. Deep facial discs funnel sound directly to asymmetrically positioned ears, giving the bird the ability to detect the faintest scuttle of a vole through thick snow. When its target reveals itself, the owl launches in a slow, deliberate glide, adjusting mid-air with precise wing beats before slamming talons first through the snowpack. Great gray owls can punch straight through crusted snow, sometimes more than half a meter deep, to reach the rodents beneath. In this way, the owl becomes one of winter's apex hunters, an airborne counterpart to the wolves and lynx below. On the forest floor, hidden beneath the canopy of spruce and pine, the capercaillie moves with a prehistoric heaviness. This massive woodland grouse, one of the largest in the world, meets winter with a remarkable shift in diet and behavior. When insects and berries vanish, it turns to the only food available: pine needles. To digest this resinous diet, the capercaillie grows an enlarged muscular crop and develops specialized gut bacteria. Its winter days are slow and energy efficient. It climbs low branches in the early morning, clipping needles with powerful beaks, before retreating into dense thickets where snow muffles the wind and shields it from predators. During snowstorms, the capercaillie may burrow into soft drifts, using the insulating snow as a natural shelter. Inside these snowy dens, it sleeps warmly despite outside temperatures plunging far below freezing. But perhaps the most astonishing winter transformation belongs to the ptarmigan, the master of seasonal camouflage. As winter approaches, its mottled brown feathers shed gradually, replaced by a cloak of pure white, perfectly matching the snow-covered tundra and alpine slopes. The ptarmigan's feathered feet act like natural snowshoes, spreading its weight and allowing it to walk atop powder where other birds would sink. When wind chills intensify, the ptarmigan simply burrows beneath the snow, tunneling into small chambers that provide warmth and protection, much like the subnivean shelters of rodents. Its diet becomes equally opportunistic: twigs, buds, berries, and any hardy vegetation it can uncover. When danger approaches, the ptarmigan trusts its camouflage, remaining perfectly still as foxes and raptors pass within meters. Every winter, as the northern landscapes harden under frost and daylight dwindles, millions of birds take to the skies in a spectacle of endurance, memory, and instinct. Among the most iconic migrants of the boreal and Arctic regions are cranes, swans, and geese, species that have evolved powerful wings, efficient metabolisms, and extraordinary navigation systems that guide them across thousands of kilometers. Their departures mark the seasonal heartbeat of the northern hemisphere, and their return in spring becomes one of the first signs of renewed life. Different species travel along distinct flyways, each shaped by ancient geography and ecological opportunity. Cranes often follow narrow, traditional routes, centuries-old aerial corridors passed down through generations. These flyways connect northern breeding grounds in Siberia, Alaska, and Scandinavia, with wintering areas in China, India, Africa, and the Mediterranean. Swans, especially whooper and tundra swans, take broader routes across Eurasia, stopping at wetlands, lakes, and estuaries rich in plant material. Geese, such as the barnacle, snow, and greylag geese, fly in massive flocks along well-studied pathways like the East Atlantic and Central Asian flyways. These routes are not straight lines but winding networks shaped by weather patterns, wind assistance, barriers like mountains and seas, and the availability of safe rest sites. Some migratory legs can span hundreds of kilometers per day, while others involve non-stop flights powered by fat reserves built up during autumn. Migration is not a gentle glide, it is a gauntlet filled with threats. Storms can scatter flocks, forcing emergency landings that leave birds vulnerable to predators. Sudden freezes may eliminate stopover wetlands. Fog and snowstorms obscure visibility and weaken navigation cues. Human impacts add new dangers. Habitat loss at staging areas deprives birds of the food they need to refuel. Power lines, wind turbines, and urban lighting pose collision hazards. Hunting pressure, legal or illegal, persists in some regions. Young birds making their first migration face especially high mortality. They must learn flock dynamics, safe feeding sites, and weather patterns, all while traveling thousands of kilometers. For cranes, swans, and geese, stopover locations are not optional, they are essential. Wetlands, river deltas, marshes, and reclaimed agricultural fields provide the carbohydrates and proteins needed to rebuild exhausted muscles. At famous sites like the Amur River Basin, India's Bharatpur wetlands, and Europe's Wadden Sea, tens of thousands gather simultaneously. These temporary sanctuaries allow birds to rest, socialize, and synchronize their onward flight. A poorly timed arrival at a depleted or disturbed site can be fatal. Thus, migratory timing is finely tuned. Many species depart only when wind direction, temperature, and internal fat stores align perfectly. Perhaps the most astonishing aspect of migration is the bird's ability to navigate with such accuracy. Cranes, swans, and geese rely on a combination of environmental cues: the sun's position, the stars, Earth's magnetic field, familiar coastlines, and even scent cues drifting across the landscape. Juveniles often learn the route by following experienced adults, forming cultural chains of knowledge that can persist for centuries. The Amur leopard, often called the ghost of the taiga, is one of the most elusive and endangered big cats on Earth. With only a tiny population surviving in the Russian Far East and northeastern China, this solitary predator lives in a landscape of steep ridges, dense forests, and long winters blanketed in snow. Its entire existence is shaped by scarcity, of prey, of territory, and of mates. Yet despite these challenges, the Amur leopard has evolved remarkable behavioral and physical adaptations that allow it to cling to survival in one of the toughest habitats any cat occupies. Amur leopards are primarily nocturnal, emerging at dusk to patrol the rocky slopes and forested valleys of their domain. Their behavior is defined by stealth. They move silently through deep snow on large, fur-covered paws that act like natural snowshoes, distributing their weight and preventing them from sinking. Unlike tigers, which rely on power, leopards depend on agility and ambush. They stalk from above, perching on cliffs or fallen logs, before launching an explosive, precise strike. During winter, this hunting style becomes even more crucial. Prey animals are alert, exposed, and often scarce. The leopard must conserve energy, so it avoids long chases. Instead, it caches kills high in trees or in thick cover to protect them from scavengers. These food stores can sustain the leopard for days, an important strategy in a habitat where every calorie counts. Despite their solitary nature, Amur leopards communicate through scent markings, scrapes on the ground, and calls that echo through the valley during the breeding season. Males sometimes follow females for several days, but after mating both return to their separate lives. Today, the Amur leopard population numbers fewer than 200 individuals in the wild. Such a small population faces intense genetic pressures, low diversity, inbreeding risks, and vulnerability to disease. A single wildfire, harsh winter, or poaching incident could affect a significant portion of the remaining cats. Small populations also create behavioral challenges. Finding a mate can require traveling enormous distances, sometimes forcing leopards to cross roads, logging areas, or human settlements. Conservation programs carefully monitor individuals, track family lines, and maintain protected corridors that connect fragmented habitats. Every kitten matters. Each birth is a victory against extinction. Amur leopards require large territories, often spanning 100 to 300 square kilometers, depending on prey availability. Males maintain even broader ranges that overlap with multiple females. These territories are shaped by the landscape, steep slopes where deer gather, river valleys rich in vegetation, and sheltered ravines that offer denning sites. Marking territory is essential. A clearly defined range helps reduce energy-draining conflicts with other leopards and ensures access to limited prey. In winter, snow deepens and movement becomes harder, so leopards adjust their patrol routes to favored trails and wind-sheltered slopes. The primary prey of the Amur leopard, roe deer, sika deer, and hares, becomes harder to find in winter. Deep snow slows these animals but also obscures their trails. When prey numbers fall, the leopard's survival is threatened directly. A starving leopard may venture closer to villages in search of livestock, increasing the risk of human conflict. To cope, Amur leopards rely on opportunistic hunting, taking raccoon dogs, badgers, or even scavenging leftover kills from tigers. Though competitors, tigers indirectly benefit leopards by keeping deer populations healthy through natural selection. In the far-flung reaches of Russia's northern wilderness, where storms erase the horizon and temperatures plunge to brutal lows, the wolverine roams like a myth carved from the ice. Stocky, muscular, and astonishingly strong for its size, the wolverine is a creature wrapped in mystery and legend. Few animals embody winter resilience as completely. Its world is one of frozen forests, tundra expanses, and snow-wrapped mountains, and it thrives where others falter. But no aspect of its existence is more impressive than its winter scavenging ability, its fearless nature, and the ferocity with which it defends its place in the harsh food chain. Wolverines possess an extraordinary sense of smell, allowing them to detect carcasses buried beneath meters of snow. Winter, a season of scarcity for nearly every species, becomes an opportunity for these small powerhouses. They roam enormous territories, sometimes hundreds of square kilometers, climbing ridges, crossing frozen rivers, and patrolling hidden valleys, always searching for the faint scent of a kill. A dead elk or reindeer can sustain a wolverine for weeks, and they consume nearly every part of the animal: meat, hide, bones, and frozen fat. This scavenging isn't random wandering, it's strategy. Wolverines memorize the landscape, returning to areas where predators like wolves or lynx frequently hunt. They often arrive shortly after the larger predator leaves, or even steal chunks of meat from cached remains. With jaws capable of crushing bones and claws built for tearing, wolverines excel at dismantling frozen carcasses that would defeat weaker scavengers. Their storage habits are equally vital. Wolverines frequently drag pieces of carrion high into trees, rock crevices, or deep burrows, caching them away from competitors. The cold acts as a natural freezer, preserving their food through the most punishing months. The wolverine's reputation as one of the fiercest animals in the northern hemisphere isn't exaggerated. Though typically weighing only 10–18 kilograms, a wolverine will confront and sometimes drive off animals several times its size if food is on the line. Confidence is part of its survival strategy. In winter, energy is precious. Backing down from a meal could mean starvation. A wolverine may snarl, scream, and puff up its thick fur to appear larger. Its muscular frame and astonishing bite force allow it to hold its ground even against wolves. In some recorded incidents, wolverines have successfully defended carcasses from a lone wolf or a lynx, and there are rare stories of wolverines attacking much larger prey, especially if weakened. This aggression is not recklessness, it is calculation. Every scrap of food gained contributes to the fat reserves that help sustain them through lean stretches. A wolverine that hesitates risks losing vital calories to faster or stronger competitors. Wolverines exist in a constant state of competition with wolves and lynx. Wolf packs are the most dangerous adversaries. A pack will kill a wolverine if the opportunity arises, eliminating a competitor and securing carcasses for themselves. Yet wolverines shadow wolf territories deliberately, knowing that wolves often leave behind remnants from large kills. The wolverine relies on speed, cunning, and intimate knowledge of the landscape to slip in between pack patrols and claim leftovers. With lynx, the dynamic shifts. A lynx is a solitary hunter, more cautious but also territorial. Wolverines often follow lynx to their cached kills. If the lynx is present, a confrontation may occur. Snarling matches, swipes, and occasional brawls. Usually the lynx retreats first. If the lynx is absent, the wolverine wastes no time dismantling the cache. Across the boundless Arctic tundra, where winter erases color and silence settles like a second layer of snow, a small figure moves with breathtaking speed. The Arctic hare, compact, muscular, and wrapped in the purest white, stands as one of the region's most remarkable survivors. It is an athlete sculpted by frost and wind, a creature whose very existence depends on outpacing danger and blending seamlessly into a landscape built from ice and emptiness. In winter, the Arctic hare becomes almost indistinguishable from the snow that surrounds it. Its coat transforms into a dense, radiant white, absorbing little heat but providing superb insulation. The camouflage is nearly perfect. Against an endless canvas of wind-packed drifts and crystalline plains, the hare appears as nothing more than a sculpted mound of snow. This invisibility is not a luxury. It is its strongest defense. Predators in the Arctic, from snowy owls to lynx to wolves, are keenly attuned to movement. A still hare may go entirely unnoticed even from a few meters away. Only when the wind shifts or a shadow falls too close does the hare reveal its true power. The Arctic hare is among the fastest animals in the tundra, capable of reaching speeds up to 60 kilometers per hour. But its true genius lies in its ability to run across snow crust that collapses beneath heavier predators. Its hind legs, long and heavily muscled, act like coiled springs, launching it in explosive bounds that cover surprising distance. Close behind, its large furry feet act like natural snowshoes, distributing its weight so lightly that it barely breaks the surface. This gives it a massive advantage when fleeing from wolves or foxes, who plunge deep with every step. The chase often plays out like a dramatic ballet, predators sinking, scrambling, lunging forward, while the hare glides effortlessly across the frozen terrain. At full speed, the hare weaves between low hills, darts across icy flats, and shifts direction with staggering agility. Its heart races, breath steaming in frantic bursts. Yet its instincts remain razor-sharp, every twist, every leap guided by survival etched into its very bones. Though often solitary during the warmer months, Arctic hares gather in larger groups in winter, sometimes forming clusters of dozens or even hundreds. These gatherings serve several purposes: safety from predators, warmth through proximity, and better access to windswept feeding areas where vegetation is exposed. A group of Arctic hares on the tundra creates an almost surreal sight. White bodies huddled together in careful stillness, blending into the snow until a sudden movement reveals the living creatures beneath. When disturbed, the entire group may erupt into synchronized motion, scattering across the plains with astonishing speed. This collective movement confuses predators, who struggle to isolate a single target. Beneath Russia's frozen landscapes lies a world few ever witness. A realm sealed under layers of ice, where water slows, light dims, and survival depends on ancient, finely tuned adaptations. Winter turns rivers and lakes into crystal prisons, yet life continues beneath their frozen roofs, moving in quiet rhythms as the world above is swept by blizzards, predators, and storms. Here, under the ice, fish glide through chilled currents, amphibians sleep in suspended animation, and semi-aquatic mammals like otters and beavers carve out warm pockets of life in the harshest season. As temperatures plummet, Russian rivers undergo a slow but dramatic transformation. The surface begins with needle-thin ice crystals forming delicate patterns that shimmer in the weak northern sun. Over days, these crystals fuse, thickening into a sheet that expands with each freezing night. In smaller streams and ponds, the ice may grow over a meter thick, sealing off the water beneath from the bitter winds above. Under the ice, fish must survive in conditions that would kill most creatures. Oxygen becomes scarce as plants go dormant, and water movement slows. To cope, fish reduce their metabolism dramatically. Pike, perch, and Siberian whitefish drift slowly, conserving every calorie. Their movements are minimal, gentle fin flicks, slow glides, and hovering rests near the bottom. Some species alter their blood chemistry. Their cells become more efficient at capturing tiny amounts of dissolved oxygen. Others, like certain carp and loach species, can even tolerate dangerously low oxygen levels by switching to alternate metabolic pathways. They may gather near underwater springs where oxygen is more abundant, or near places where the ice is thinner and gas exchange still occurs. Amphibians face one of the toughest challenges of all. Frogs and salamanders cannot remain active in freezing temperatures. Instead, they enter deep hibernation. Many species burrow into mud at the bottom of ponds, slowing their heartbeats to barely measurable pulses. Some frogs, incredibly, even tolerate partial freezing. Their bodies flood with glucose that acts as a natural antifreeze, preventing ice crystals from destroying their cells. Encased in mud and frost, these amphibians become statues waiting for the first whisper of spring to reawaken. River otters are among the few creatures that remain fully active beneath the ice. Agile, curious, and relentless hunters, they slip through openings called air holes that they maintain along riverbanks. Underwater, they move with fluid, effortless grace, weaving between submerged plants, fallen logs, and the slow-moving silhouettes of fish. Their dense fur traps warm air against the skin, insulating them even in near-freezing water. Otters rely on speed and precision. A sudden burst, a twist, a snap of jaws, and their meal is secured. Beavers play an entirely different game. Their lodges, massive domes of logs and mud, become fortresses of warmth during the winter months. Beneath the ice, they access underwater entrances that predators cannot reach. Inside, chambers lined with shredded wood stay surprisingly warm thanks to the family's shared body heat. On the frozen surface of Lake Baikal, winter arrives like a sculptor, chiseling waves into ridges of blue ice, polishing the lake until it resembles a vast sheet of crystal. Beneath this frozen world lies the deepest lake on Earth, a body of water older than many mountain ranges. And living within it, perfectly adapted to its ancient cold, is one of Russia's most iconic and mysterious creatures, the Baikal seal, or Nerpa. These small, round-bodied seals are the only exclusively freshwater pinnipeds in the world, a species shaped by millennia of isolation. Winter is not merely a season for them. It is the defining challenge that dictates their rhythm of life. When the freeze tightens its grip, female Baikal seals begin one of the most delicate acts of their lives. They carve dens called birth layers within the snowdrifts that accumulate on top of thick ice sheets. These layers serve as insulated chambers, protecting newborn pups from temperatures that can plunge far below 30 degrees Celsius. Inside these pale-domed nurseries, the air is warmer, muffled, and still. A mother gives birth to a single pup, wrapped in white, woolly fur. For the first days, the pup never touches open air. It nurses in darkness, relying entirely on the thermal shield provided by the lair. The mother frequently maintains breathing holes, clawing through the snow to ensure fresh air and quick access to the water below. While the world above lies silent and frozen, Baikal seals navigate the dim, icy waters with astonishing confidence. Their large, glossy eyes see clearly in the low-light conditions beneath the ice sheet, and their whiskers detect even the slightest underwater vibrations, an essential skill for hunting Baikal oilfish, sculpins, and the lake's famed endemic species, the golemyanka. Seals make multiple breathing holes across their territory, keeping them open through daily scraping and chipping. These holes act like a personal map, allowing them to traverse enormous distances under the frozen lake without ever surfacing into the cold air. In these near-freezing waters, their thick blubber layer and dense fur trap heat close to their bodies, allowing them to hunt for hours. Most hunting takes place at dusk or in total darkness, where seals glide silently through ancient underwater canyons carved into the lakebed. The world beneath Baikal's ice is alien, immense, and breathtakingly deep, and the Nerpa moves through it as easily as a bird through the sky. On land, Baikal seals face almost no natural predators, but during winter, their pups are vulnerable. When the snow cover is thin, foxes and even crows can break into lairs and kill the helpless young. Wolves may roam the lake surface during severe winters, though encounters are rare. Underwater, the seals are kings, swift, agile, and with few threats. Their greatest danger does not come from claws or teeth, but from changes in the environment itself. In recent decades, one of the most pressing threats to Baikal seals has emerged not from nature, but from a warming climate. Winters are becoming shorter, ice forms later. Snowfall patterns shift unpredictably. Without deep, stable snowdrifts, birth layers collapse, exposing pups to deadly cold or hungry predators. In the immense silence of the Siberian winter, the pine forests stand like ancient guardians, towering pillars of green rising from an ocean of white. Their needles shimmer with frost, their branches bend under the weight of snow, and the air around them hangs thick with the scent of resin and cold earth. But beneath this stillness lies one of the most complex and finely balanced ecological webs in Russia. Here, survival depends on the pine tree, the heartbeat of the forest, and the species that rely on it through the darkest, coldest months of the year. Deep inside the cones of Siberian cedar pines lies the forest's most precious winter treasure, pine nuts. Rich in fat and protein, these seeds are the fuel that powers countless species through the brutal winter. Their abundance, or scarcity, can shape the entire season. Sables, red squirrels, chipmunks, and nutcrackers all rely on pine nuts. The Siberian nutcracker, a clever bird with a strong bill, is the main planter and propagator of these forests. In summer, it hides tens of thousands of seeds in the ground. By winter, the bird returns to these secret caches, its memory stunningly accurate, and feeds on the energy-rich nuts buried safely beneath snow. Squirrels do the same, but with less discipline and much more enthusiasm. Throughout autumn, they collect cones in chaotic bursts of activity, stuffing holes in tree trunks, hollow logs, and underground chambers with the forest's golden resource. These caches are essential for their survival. Without them, a starving squirrel stands little chance against the Siberian cold. Red squirrels are among the most visible residents of winter pine forests. With fluffy tails and lightning-quick movements, they leap between ice-covered branches with an agility that borders on miraculous. Their winter coat thickens into a soft silvery gray, blending easily into the monochrome world. They spend the cold season navigating their network of hidden food stores, carefully rationing their supply. Occasionally, they raid forgotten caches. left behind by nutcrackers or chipmunks. Every meal is a small victory in a landscape where energy is life. But squirrels are also a link in the predator web. Their tracks attract the attention of many hunters who patrol these forests with quiet precision. Where there are pine nuts and squirrels, predators follow. The Siberian pine forest is home to a suite of winter hunters. The sable, a sleek weasel-like predator, is one of the most agile. It can chase squirrels high into the trees or tunnel through snow to ambush rodents. Sables are expert climbers, slipping through branches with cat-like grace in pursuit of prey. The lynx stalks the forest floor, its paws spreading weight over snow like natural snowshoes. It patiently follows squirrel tracks, hares and grouse, waiting for the perfect ambush opportunity among the stillness of the pines. Owls, especially the great gray owl, perch on frost-covered branches in the dim light of dawn, scanning for the faintest rustle from rodents hidden in the snow. Their silent flight turns the pine forest into a hunting arena where prey rarely hears danger until it is too late. The trees themselves are marvels of adaptation. Siberian cedars and pines have evolved needles instead of broad leaves to prevent water loss. Their branches grow flexible, bending under heavy snow without breaking. Thick bark shields them from frostbite, and their roots reach deep into permafrost-touched soil. Their cones are masterpieces of design, tightly sealed to protect developing seeds from cold, wind, and hungry animals until the time is right. High above Russia's frozen valleys, where the wind scours bare rock and snow blanket slopes at terrifying angles, life clings to the mountains with a tenacity few creatures elsewhere can match. Here, at dizzying altitudes, winters are long, temperatures plunge without mercy, and survival demands a blend of agility, instinct, and courage. The wildlife of these peaks, the Siberian ibex, snow sheep, and the formidable golden eagle, has evolved in perfect harmony with the cliffs, crevices, and perilous ridges, mastering the art of living where few dare to tread. The Siberian ibex epitomizes high-altitude survival. With muscular legs and split hooves that act like natural crampons, ibexes leap and scramble across cliffs with astonishing precision. In winter, they form small groups to monitor predators, often standing like sentinels on exposed ridges to scan vast valleys below. Their large horns, curved and heavy, are used in territorial and mating battles during autumn, but in winter, they serve little function beyond balance and intimidation. Snow sheep, close relatives of mountain goats, share this perilous environment. Slightly smaller than ibex, they rely on agility and herd vigilance. They graze in tightly knit groups, moving together across ledges, often descending to lower slopes when storms make higher elevations impassable. Snow sheep have learned to detect avalanche-prone areas, instinctively avoiding slopes that carry even the slightest risk. Their winter coat thickens dramatically, insulating them against wind chills that can reach beyond 40 degrees Celsius. Soaring above these frozen peaks, the golden eagle dominates the skies. With wings spanning over 2 meters, it rides thermal currents, even in winter gusts, scanning the snow-covered ridges for signs of movement. Ibex kids, snow sheep lambs, and hares become its targets. The eagle's keen eyesight can detect subtle movements beneath thin snow, and it uses gravity to its advantage, plunging from great heights with precise speed and power. In these high-altitude realms, survival is a constant negotiation with the elements. Ibex and snow sheep navigate frozen cliffs and scarce forage, balancing risk against sustenance, while golden eagles patrol the skies with quiet authority. Winter molds every behavior, from foraging patterns to group formation to predator vigilance, creating a world of precision, endurance, and stark beauty. At the northernmost reaches of Russia, the tundra stretches in vast, treeless expanses, a landscape sculpted by wind, ice, and an unrelenting sunless winter. Here, winter is not a season. It is an endless, all-encompassing state of being. For months, darkness dominates, temperatures plummet, and fierce winds whip across frozen plains. The polar night imposes a unique challenge. With no sunlight for weeks, photosynthesis halts, freezing plant growth and limiting available food. Herbivores, such as reindeer, Arctic hares, and musk oxen, must rely on stored fat and meticulous foraging strategies. Reindeer dig through snow with strong hooves to reach lichen, the frozen gold of the tundra. Arctic hares huddle in drifts, conserving energy, while musk oxen form tight herds, their collective body heat countering the bitter winds. Even fish and amphibians beneath frozen lakes slow their metabolism to near dormancy, conserving energy until the brief thaw arrives. Even birds such as ptarmigans cluster together under snowbanks. By burrowing in communal chambers, they reduce heat loss and maintain a microclimate that shields them from winds exceeding 100 kilometers per hour. These small gatherings, though subtle, are essential to survival in a place where even a minor miscalculation can mean death. Wind defines the tundra. Snowdrifts, ice ridges, and wind-sculpted hummocks create both obstacles and protection. Herbivores use leeward slopes and depressions to shelter during storms, while predators like Arctic foxes exploit the terrain to approach prey silently. Camouflage is paramount. Fur and plumage shift from brown to white, blending perfectly with the snowy terrain. Even body shape is optimized. Compact forms conserve heat, while fur and feather density provide insulation against wind chill that can fall below 50 degrees Celsius. Winter transforms Russia's wilderness into a frozen chessboard, where every movement is measured, every decision carries weight, and survival hinges not only on individual skill, but also on the complex interplay between species. In these months of scarcity, the relationships between predators, scavengers, and prey shift into high-stakes dynamics, creating a network of interactions that defines life in the coldest landscapes on Earth. As winter slowly releases its grip on Russia's vast wilderness, the saga of survival leaves an indelible mark on every frozen landscape. From the taiga's shadowed pine forests to the sun-bleached tundra, from the cliffs of the Ural Mountains to the ice-covered depths of Lake Baikal, life has endured with tenacity and precision. Each species, predator and prey alike, has carved strategies finely tuned to the harshest months. Wolves roam in carefully organized packs, stalking the weakened or unwary. Tigers move silently through snow-laden forests, their eyes like molten amber against the white. Wolverines scavenge with relentless determination, fearless of confrontation. Even the smallest creatures, the voles tunneling beneath snow, the Arctic hares darting across drifts, the subnivean amphibians, play vital roles in a network sustained by the rules of survival. But what do you think? Let us know in the comment section below, and make sure to check out the wilderness in the Andes.